Good day and happy listening to my new webinar. New webinar. This is. I hope you all are enjoying well and learning new things and facing new excitement into your life. Today's webinar is based on the people who are a Java developer or who want to be a Java developer, but they think there is no client-side technology available, or they think the technology side available for the Java developer is outdated, and they are just flown away by the storm, by the interest of uh, TypeScript-based databases. They like to understand the TypeScript data, TypeScript frameworks like React, Angular, Angular, Vue.js. So they think only the TypeScript is the new norm. So in this webinar, I try to explain that Java is still very cinematic, and the serious companies, the serious organizations, they love to develop their products with Java because it's a good to have one small team. They can build from one end to end, other end, a complete product. So the learning curve will be less. The people can work hard with small effort, and then they can bring a deployable and customer acceptable solutions, which can be a banking system, healthcare system, defense system, IoT systems, systems for the telecom, systems for automobile industry. So that is the beauty when you have a small team working on one code base. So my uh, uh, my work for today's webinar is to attract all those people who are good Java developers and they want to explore what kind of frameworks, what kind of toolkits we have being a Java developer. There are two kind of there is one very important toolkit which people try to use for the client side development is Qt. So in my opinion, the Qt, the only alternative for the Qt is Java Swing and Java FX to build a native client application. Java has changed a lot now. You see Java 21, Java 22, the things are changed dramatically. There are a lot of new enhancements. The language is so exciting. The language is so simple. The footprint of JDK is very small, so the deployment is very fast. It's you can build your native application, your native deployment by using Graal VM. We have transpilers to translate your Java code into JavaScript or WebAssembly. So there are a lot of new changes came into the language stack. So for today's, I will start my today's webinar. So and hopefully you will enjoy and understand the beauty we have into a Java ecosystem for the UI developers. So as you can see, we have a lot of icons available. We have Google Web Toolkit, we have Vaadin, we have Play Framework. Play is can be used with Scala and Java. We have JMix, we have OpenJava, we have Codename One, we have Java FX, we have struts, and then we have a NetBeans RCP. They all are Java-based framework. One are JVM framework and struts as the premier server-side framework, which is still being used by many banks in the world, especially in Australia and New Zealand. So I am the CEO of Anis Lab and Solution Architect. So anybody can reach out to me on my number and the email as display in the starting of the slides. So about me, this is my LinkedIn. You can have my QR code, which can lead you to my LinkedIn profile so that you can understand about my work, my products, my open source products, and what I have done into the IT industry specifically and Java particularly. I'm totally into uh, Java-based projects. I work with BPMs, I work with BRMS, I work with uh, SOA frameworks like Enterprise Service Bus. I work with JBPM, Activity, Flowable for the BPM stack, for the rule engines. I work with JBoss rules mainly. We can work with Jakarta EE. I work with JBoss server. I work with Peara and Spring Boot, complete Spring ecosystem, Apache Craft for OSGI base container, messaging with ActiveMQ, RabbitMQ, NoSQL for using Apache Cassandra. For the RDBMS, I use normally Postgres. I develop rich client platform by using Eclipse RCP and NetBeans RCP. So I have extensive work from data models to middle tier to the client side for the Java ecosystem. When I call Java is cinematic, Java you can build a lot of beautiful applications having very native UI with the Java. The biggest example for the Java based application is IntelliJ. IntelliJ is a Java swing. The it is so beautiful, so cinematic, so OS native that you never feel that it is Java. You feel like it's something built by any toolkit which is very close to native. Even NetBeans is Java swing. Even many graphical designer tool, open source graphical designer tools are made in Java. So Java is very cinematic, very eye catching, very dynamic, very elegant, and it has all kind of features, all kind of views. You can have your native, you can have your web, you can have your mobile first. If you are working with mobile, even Android, you have Android. It's a big fight that Android is having a Java code. But still, if you don't want to use Android, you can use Java. You can develop your mobile app with Java FX or codename one, and then you can compile back to the native to iOS or Android by using Graal VM of Glue and Substrate, and you can have your native uh, app for the iOS and Android. So Java is everywhere. Java is can be used into the embedded devices like BMW is still using Java for their navigation system. I mean, this everywhere. Java is everywhere. In today's world, we are blown away with the TypeScript and JavaScript because it is backed by the big companies like Google and Facebook or Meta. We can call nowadays it's Meta. React is with Meta and Angular is with Google. And people talk about, oh, we cannot do anything without React. We have React Native. But just think, a company who cannot hire a lot of developers for backend and a lot of developers for the front end. They have to invest a lot of money to build a complete full scale application of having full SDLC cycle. You want to have a user interface for web ready. You want to have your scalable, extendable, secure, comprehensive middle tier, and then you have proper ORM database mapping tools, which is Java based. Both are Java based, and then you have to work with the React developers, like an other learning curve or an other employee who has to work with web technologies. So it's like a hybrid team. You have to maintain the hybrid team. I'm not against or biased with my negativity toward the uh, TypeScript or JavaScript framework. They are absolutely fine. They're exciting, but my audience is the Java people or the companies who have an application built with Java. So why not we just focus on one team, one code base for all kind of user interfaces, middle tier, and uh, database mapping, NoSQL, and communication, synchronous communication, cryptography, everything based on Java, even the blockchain. If you are implementing, they should choose the blockchain which is made by Java. In my coming webinars, I will discuss on all things specifically by doing the live code, so that you can join me when I will work on application development in a live session for everybody. So you can join me. You can. It will be exciting when we are doing a live code together. I forget to mention jQuery. jQuery is one of the best API or library available for JavaScript lovers, because I used jQuery a lot when we work with server-side components like GSP or GSF in the Java ecosystem. We use jQuery for the client-side widget. As we all know that Java server pages and Java server faces are server-side technologies. So you can use client-side technologies by using jQuery and jQuery UI. So Java developer for user experience. This is a place where I am trying to focus. Java is cinematic. Java is not a boring technology or ecosystem or a language. Java can build exciting use cases from one single code base. This is not, right now, I'm not talking about Java for server side. Here, I'm talking about Java as a JVM for the native UIs. We have uh, Google introduced Google Web Toolkit back in 2004, 2005 for the people who are writing, who want to transform their Swing-like application to the browser. So exciting thing they have done, they have created a Google Web Toolkit, which is actually RPC based, to transpile the Java code into JavaScript. And then when you deploy, it's fast, it's very dynamic, it's single page experience, everybody blown away. Wow, this is the one we are looking for, Java to transport our Java application to web. Because before that, we have to create our WebStart, GNLP to bring our Swing application when we are working via web, or we need to develop Java applets. So Google Web Toolkit makes it life very easy, very exciting, that we just write our code in Java language, and then we use GWT to transpile our code into JavaScript, and then we deploy our module as a WAR file to Tomcat or Jetty, and then we can use it's our code, which is very fast, very secure, and still we can manage our session, we can manage our cookies. After that, we got to Vadin framework. Vadin framework was the fork of GWT, and they use the GWT widget. Very exciting technology. I'm one of the early adopter of Vadin, and I loved it from the day one. It makes the things so exciting that the building of complex application, single page application becomes so easy and so fun to do, that I can build a lot of use cases within a small amount of time. Yeah, if I am a Swing developer, if I know how the listeners are working, how the action events are working, how can you transport your data to and forth. We have a low code platforms like JMX, we have OpenJava, and we have a Java FX. Most of the people know Java FX as a native application for the native UI, that we can use Java FX for the user interfaces, client-side application for Windows, for Linux, for OS, for Mac OS, and also for generating the UI for mobile like Android and iOS by using Gluon, Substrate, and GraalVM. But there is one other open source project which has a commercial aspect also, JPro1. We can use JPro1 to translate our JavaFX application to web. That makes a thing so exciting that the people who are building an application for the native platforms, and they can also translate the same application to the web by using JPro1. And now there is an other uh, open source project is coming as a WebFX, which is using a GWT transpiler, which can translate your JavaFX code to JavaScript, and It's one of the exciting project, still in incubation, but it's one of the exciting project. We have a code name one. Code name one is a mobile first technology, even open source technology, which when you write code in Java, and it is a cross platform mobile app which can be used with Windows Phone, Android phone, iOS phone, even Symbian phone. We have OpenJava. It's also a low-code platform to for the rapid application development. And then we have a NetBeans RCP, rich client platform, that you can use NetBeans IDE as a NetBeans platform for building an exciting and interesting use cases. Experian, one of the biggest company in financial, or biggest name in the financial sector, is using NetBeans RCP for their financial products. Now, we also have server side. Java has a server side for web, for the client interfacing. As we already know, Java is one of the premier ecosystem that introduced the specification for the web, that is called Java Server Pages, and then it moves on to the Java Server Faces. JSP is still being used by many frameworks like Struts, like even OpenJava is translating your GPAs, your domain models, to JSPs and JavaScript. For JSP, one of the world famous framework is Apache Struts, and interestingly, Apache Struts is still being used by the banks in Australia, New Zealand, Central Asia, even in Europe, because it is one of the very stable framework, extendable framework, maintainable framework, and highly secure framework. And it is some called, you can say it's a legacy framework which based upon request response architecture. We have Apache Wicket is also a Java server pages based framework. Then we have a component based web framework based on JSF. Long time ago we called it as a Java server faces, but now because it moves to Eclipse and Jakarta, it needs translate into Jakarta server faces. They also have the third-party components, third-party APIs, libraries, and like Apache MyFaces and Prime Faces. We also have a Play framework. We will talk that's based on Scala language, Scala and Java. We will talk it later. Now we talk about Vadin for Java developer. I love Vadin, and I develop a lot of interactive application like chatbots, like banking applications, application with a lot of uh, uh, complex grids. What happens when you develop something, and they have a lot of commercial components too, but you are not bound to use those commercial components. You can use their open source component, and you can extend those components to suit your requirements. That is the exciting part in the Vadin. Vadin is built for the Java developers, Java UI developers who are developing their use cases, user interfaces based on Java Swing. If you know the Java Swing and you fall in love with Java Swing, and you feel like you are falling behind to present your Java Swing to web, as Java ecosystems has abandoned the JNLP and WebStar, even though WebStar is moved to another open source community, but still, because before we have Java Star and JNLP together, and we can translate our Java Swing application, and we can use through web. And deployment was very easy. Anybody can create the link, GNLP link, and they down it, the Swing application downloaded to the client machine, and you can just click, and the Swing application starts. But after the abandonment of the WebStar and JNLP, it becomes something headache for Java Swing developer. And you can find out that even Swing is the integral part of JTK. Vadim is a breath of fresh air for those developers. They can use their same knowledge, and they can translate the same knowledge in Vadi and build exciting single page applications, uh, which look very similar to Java Swing. And the it renders your application at runtime to HTML5 based specs. Uh, Vadin also supports. I mean, you don't need if you have your TypeScript team, but you want to remain into the Java ecosystem. Vadim it has another framework called Hila. You can use Hila framework to to use a React or TypeScript based frameworks which can be used within the Java ecosystem. But if you don't want to use React or any TypeScript based frameworks, Vadin Flow is here for your rescue. You can use Javadin Flow and you can use dynamic cinematic user interfaces. Still, you can use JavaScript if you want to have some nice, exciting JavaScript widgets, and you are bound to use it. For example, you need to have your GPS location of the person who is initiating your browser, I mean, your application on its browser of its demographic or its location. You can use your JavaScript. They have their own way, uh, and very easy to use. So it's very easy to integrate JavaScript for client-side widgets if needed. Plus, Spring already gave you Spring Web Component jar files. You can use Maven to integrate, and you can use those JavaScript widgets with the Spring Web Component modules. They support the latest SDK for Java 21, Java 22. It's very native to Spring Boot. It is fun to develop a single page applications with Vadim framework. Now, my love for the Google Web Toolkit. This is the one of the best framework, one of the really best framework made by Google, and it helps the Java. Only the only issue with the GWT was when we are transpiling the code, it takes the time because it is translating your Java code into JavaScript. This is the only annoying and boring part being a Java developer, or that when you are running the code to transpile your Java code into the JavaScript, only that time you feel annoyed. But after that, when it is transpiled, when the Java code is already translated into JavaScript, boom, it's fun to do. It is the love that you will never forget. Its only difference is it's not based on request response. It's RPC based server side communication. The good thing is when the Google abandoned its support to the GWT, the community came. Now the Google Web Toolkit is flourished by the open source community, and it is still thriving and still people are using it. Uh, Actually, Google was planning to move to J2CL, Java to Clojure, and they want to use the same understanding they use for the GWT to the J2CL, and they are still maintaining the J2CL Java to Clojure language, which is an other, like we don't have. This is not a topic of our today's webinar. GWT has very nice third-party components which are commercial, even though like Sencha GXT. You can use Sencha GXT and integrate with your application. You have a lot of exciting layouts. Smart GWT is there, which is one of the best open source components available and libraries available to beautify your GWT. For applying the security, you can use your session-based security. You can also use your Spring security because GWT gave you the one module which is the GWT Vadim bridge. You can use that one so that you can use the route mechanism so that you can use the Spring security. But if you don't want to use the Spring security, you can use many other security modules. Apart from that, you can also use cookies, and then you can check if that thing is available in the cookies. It means you are already logged in When you logged out, you can clear the cookies. Even you logged in, you can set the cookies. If you refresh the page, you check if that user is already logged in. It means its token is already stored into the cookies, and then you can move to that route. It's up to the coding developer, the coding standards, and the algorithm you want to follow. And it's really very good for single page application. JMix. JMix, or before we called it Cuba platform, is one of my very big love affair. I love to use JMX even when it was a Cuba platform. It is one of the best less code platform, but the only thing that the difference is it's made for the people who are into an Java and Swing ecosystem, because they are heavily invested into the Swing platform. That you are using Swing ecosystem, you are using Swing Boot. You are sorry, Spring Boot. It's a totally Bootify the framework. You need to be a Java and Spring ecosystem developer. If you are not Spring developer, then it might you will lose your interest. But if you are a Spring developer and you are into a Spring ecosystem, then your life is a fun and you are in heaven. You just need to develop your domain model, which are the ORM, JPAs, and you design your JPAs. From the JPAs, you can just uh, generate your middle tier and your user interface. And it's based upon the latest version of Vaadin. And if you want to change the look and feel, you have the option. You can go and play with the UI XML files. It's just the choice of you. But if you still want to remain in the same, you don't want to change it, the you don't want to change the generated user interface by the JMX, you can use it as it is. That is one of the beautiful part. Apart from that, they are giving you a plugin for IntelliJ. When you are using JMX plugin in IntelliJ, the development only drawback can be that you need to understand the IntelliJ environment. And the IntelliJ environment is not that complicated if you are Java developer. I'm sure if you are coding in Java, you already know about IntelliJ, Eclipse, NetBeans, and most of the Java developer in these days are doing their coding in IntelliJ because of their very first class citizen support for the Java. Their plugin for IntelliJ helps you to build very high performance application in a very small amount of time. You just need a 2 or 3 member team to build very comprehensive core banking system. Their seamless integration with BPMs like Camunda and Flowable makes it like icing on the cake. You can use the BPMs within the environment of IntelliJ JMX plugin, and you can build your deployable, ready, customer ready, and very nice single page application for the verticals like healthcare, banking, fintech, even logistics, very easily in a very fast, we say highly productive, less code platform. And its cloud development is very fun to do. From the same environment, you can deploy uh, your application to AWS, Azure, GCP, like Google Cloud Platform. Even you can use Docker image or Kubernetes within for the JMX. OpenJava. OpenJava is based on JSP, a very similar concept as of JMX. Uh, you write your only you need to write your JPAs, your domain model, and it is even it's like single code base. You have your UI. Apart from that, they have very interesting integration with the Spring ecosystem. Even for the reporting, they are using Jasper and Pentaho. They uh, JMX and Cuba platform for their user interface. They are using Vadin 24 for the time being, and they are heavily invested with the Vadin ecosystem when they are going for user interface. Open Java, are generating JSPs and JavaScript. There's a difference. If you are familiar with JSP and JavaScript, you can just go and tweak your UI according to your need. But the good thing is, you just need to go for your JPA, and OpenJava will generate your interfaces and the database logic for you. Not the Java FX. We call Java FX as a swing successor because it came as a swing successor. Swing has the limitation. Swing has the limitation of the look and feel. It's very 2D. It is their look and feel was very bounded and not too flexible. We cannot use CSS with the Java Swing look and feel. Java FX was intended to replace Java Swing with a very exciting, simple UI toolkit that you can generate something like Qt, like 3D, like transition, like animation, uh, so when I'm one of the early adopter of JavaFX too, and I fall in love. So I enjoyed their binding framework, their mapping framework. Their binding is one of the best part. If Even though you are not using JavaFX, I will recommend use their binding framework, their binding APIs. It makes your life in heaven. So they give a lot of exciting APIs, binding APIs, their property binders, their their CSS support, very first class citizen sports, and their uh, uh, very high community support. I mean, the community like Gluon is investing the like uh, a lot of stuff. Even the DLC is providing a lot of components. FXGL, like from Mr. Almas, for the gaming engine, but not apart from the gaming engine, they provide a lot of exciting animation APIs which you can use into your JavaFX application for doing the transitioning from one node to another node. And they have JFX draws, they have control FX, Iconly. I forget to mention Iconly is the product which provides you a lot of icons for Java FX and Java Swing developers. Iconly is the must. I will add into my slides that it is must have a library for developing eye-catching user interfaces. We have Codename One. Codename One is only for mobile first application. The good thing is with one code you can have a high quality cross platform native apps. You don't need to worry about Android, you don't need to worry about iOS, you don't need to worry about Symbian, you don't need to worry about Windows Phone, BlackBerry. The code name one code base, and you have all kind of deployment ready products. So that is a fun. You don't need to think about Flutter or React Native, that you need to build cross native like cross platform native apps. Codename One, you can use and all these are open source, free to use. They have the commercial version too, but you are not bound to use the commercial version. You can use their community version, free version, open source version, and they are for the rapid development. In my coming webinars, I will do the hand-on coding session with Vadim, with GWT, with JMix, with the codename One, with OpenJava, so that and then we can have. I will have a series of hand-on webinars, so for you guys to understand many use cases like chatbots with Vadim, chatbot with GWT, with Java FX, codename One, banking application, small loan originating system. How can we use BPMs? As I already gave two webinars on the BPM specs and BPM knowledge. So we can use in my coming webinars. We can go for that one. So now we already talked about JVM based user interfaces. Now came back to the legacy server side, because server side is still valid. because when we are building a banking application, sometime, most of the time, we need the validation, we need the security from the server. We want to control everything from the server. We don't want to rely on the client side, on the browser side. So the struts is still valid, struts is still being used. It's a very multi-page dynamic application support. Now it is already a component oriented framework, very similar to JSF, highly rely on configuration. Like you create your modules and then you configure into XML files or annotations, and boom, it's ready to use, ready to deploy. It is legacy and based upon legendary tradition to build highly scalable banking application. Still, many banks are banking systems are based upon struts, and bank really trust the struts as their technology, as a go to technology. GSF Jakarta Faces is very component oriented, and they also like struts MVC, plus they are in between MVC and MVVM, model VPU model architecture. So like they have too much component based framework, and very easy, also very when we are building very secure applications like government applications, where you need to build a white box cryptography, people go for Jakarta server faces. Even struts, you can use the white box cryptography. You need the servlet listeners. When you are initializing your web application, the servlet listener will do some stuff and bring your public key and store somewhere in hidden that nobody can fetch it out, and do the white box cryptography. So it is fun to use Java Jakarta server faces. Only issue is Jakarta server faces are totally bound to Jakarta EE. Like you need to use JBoss application servers like Wildfly or Piara, etc. So I mean, you can use it, and they have a lot of built-in components, and their third-party support is very good from Apache MyFaces, Prime Faces, Ice Faces. So I will conclude my today's webinars. Hope you all had enjoyed this exciting webinar, and see you soon in our my live coding session. Thank you very much.